Welcome to The Spotlight, the podcast where veterans and military spouses connect and share how their military experience has transformed their lives and their businesses. Here's your host, Bob Louthen.
Hey, this is your host, Bob Louthen, founder of the VeteranCrowd Network, the network that brings veterans and veteran-led businesses together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. And you are tuning into The Spotlight.
Hey, welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking with Owen Waits. He's a private banker with JP Morgan, a West Point grad, Army Cavalry guy. I want to drill down on that a little bit. And
Sure.
very active. Owen, welcome to the program. Thank you for stepping into the spotlight.
Happy to be here, Bob. Thanks for having me.
You're at JP Morgan. Tell everybody what a private bank is. Most veterans out there don't really know, but go ahead and tell them about what a private bank is.
Sure. So I work for JP Morgan Chase, which is the parent company that everybody probably knows. And we have many different lines of business, but I work within the private bank, which works to service high net worth individuals across their entire balance sheet. And provide boutique white glove service across all of our different pillars. So that could be banking, investing, lending, and overall wealth planning. So all of that kind of in one wrapper together is how we work with clients. And particularly for me, I enjoy working with veterans, military veterans who've transitioned into business leadership, whether that's, a CEO role or just, other executive leadership, and helping advise on their balance sheets as we work together.
We're gonna get into that, but let's take a little stroll down memory lane. Where'd you grow up, and how'd you end up deciding to go to West Point? Did you always want to be in the military?
So I have a strong family history of military service. My grandfather was in right after World War II in the Army. My uncle was in the 80s. And then it got to my generation, and I ended up joining the Army out of West Point. My brother's still on active duty in the Army as an infantry officer in the Ranger Regiment. My cousin served in the Marines for 2 tours in Afghanistan. So a strong history within the family. For me personally, when it comes down to deciding to attend West Point, I think it came up on my radar in about 8th grade when we were doing a kind of a career survey of what we were going to do and in life. And the question was, do you want to go to college? And, for me, I wanted to go to college, and I'm one of 4 kids, and I needed a path to get there. And I had a mentor in my church at the time who had gone to West Point, and he said, hey, you should give this a look. It's a great opportunity to get your school paid for, and you get a great job in the Army coming out of that. And I said, okay, I'll look that up. So I did, and I found out that, that was true. And you can get paid to go blow things up and ride tanks around and shoot guns and have a great experience, something was cool to me at the time. And the more I looked into it, I was like, this is actually a great opportunity for leadership development. It's top-notch education. And, you're going to have a job coming out of it, because at the time I entered, the Great Recession happened while I was in college. So coming out of West Point, having a job was great. And, the service aspect was always important to me as well, with the familial history and just wanting to do my part. At that time, you have to consider the global war on terror was still well underway in the post 9/11 era. And I grew up in Ohio, which is a great state in the Midwest that was very supportive at the time. And so a lot of people joined the military out of Ohio. So it was a fairly common path for people. So that combination of factors all came together for me, the wanting to serve, great education, having school paid for, and getting to do my part.
You're in a cavalry regiment, went to Afghanistan.
Correct. Yeah. So I served in the 1-4 Cav, first Squadron, 4th Cavalry Regiment, based out of Fort Riley, Kansas. I was a platoon leader there, and we did a train up for about a year. Went to California to the National Training Center, did a rotation there, and then went on our deployment to the eastern part of Afghanistan for 9 months. Served as a platoon leader there, and it was an eye-opening experience. We prepared for it, we trained for it, but it was unique. And as we've seen how that kind of evolved over the history of that conflict, and this most recent summer with our departure, it was kind of it was difficult to watch, I'd say. Having been there in 2012 and worked side by side with the Afghan partners on combat patrols, and working on building up stability for them, and getting them to be able to fight for themselves, for their own country. That was our primary goal when we were there. It was all about partnership and teamwork and working together. And sadly, that at the end of the conflict hasn't worked out that way. So that was definitely difficult to watch. And one of the great life lessons I think that I've taken away from my service was that tour in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have the utmost respect for all of you post 9/11 folks. You were probably in middle school or elementary school when 9/11 happened, and
Yep.
To go on and to serve in our military, you just carried a huge burden. You got out of the service, went to business school at Carolina, Kenan-Flagler
Mm-hmm.
School. How was
Yeah.
that experience?
It was
And
great.
by the way, are the Tar Heels going to win the national championship this weekend?
If I was a betting man, I'd say yes. They split with Duke in the regular season. They've got one. We took one. We beat them on the road in Coach K's last home game in Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Yeah, it's a
by
lot
a
of
pretty good
motivation on
margin.
Dookie's part, I think.
Yeah. So they're a little bitter. They might have a chip on their shoulder, but we definitely have a quality team that's come together in the postseason, and I think they could pull it off. So I'll be rooting for them on Saturday.
NBA program at UNC is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, were there a lot of
program.
veterans in your class?
Yeah, we had over 20 in the vet program there, and I served as the treasurer for our veterans organization there within the student body, and just great support from the school, and a great culture, both for veterans and just overall for MBA support. And for me, it was the perfect landing pad that I needed coming out of the service to transition into something else, into a new career. So it was very much a time for me to reflect on what was important, look at my skill set, and marry that up with a great education from Kenan-Flagler Business School. So all of those factors, they were a great way for me to pivot and get into a new field. And so I took as many finance classes as I could to get the educational background to marry with what I had developed on the leadership and personal skills out of the military.
What was your undergraduate degree from West Point, and what was your specialty there?
It was American politics, policies, and strategies. So basically a political science degree.
Okay.
And, my original plan was to stay in the military for 20 years and then get out and probably teach high school somewhere, high school government or something. But as things have developed and changed, as many people's life plans do, didn't end up going that route and just did the 8 years in the Army and then on to business school. But I had done enough time in the Army that I had the GI Bill, which is a great benefit. So I was able to pay for business school with that, and get that financial education and background that I needed to pivot into the wealth management role that I have now.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about that transition. What did you think was the most difficult part about transitioning out of the Army and getting into the banking world? What was the steep hill to climb there?
A couple things. I mean, banking's a highly regulated industry, so there's of course a lot of exams and things you have to pass to be licensed. But that's just a matter of putting your head down and doing the work and studying and passing those things. I think for a lot of vets and me probably as well, transitioning is tough because you have to translate what you did in the military into civilian speak. And a lot of people have a broad understanding of the military, but not necessarily the granularity of what you did. And so being able to translate, numbers of people you led and millions of dollars of equipment you were responsible for, what that taught you and how that can set you up for success in the civilian world. Having that down really well was something that I, worked on and I think paid dividends for me. And simultaneously using the veteran network to not only learn about the business world and see what was out there, because I, frankly didn't know coming out of the military how many different options were available in terms of next careers. But using that network to learn and develop, and then have it open doors for you as much as possible. And of course, you have to do the work yourself to be prepared. But having those conversations taught me so much with a lot of different veterans across different ways, and that helped shape my path specifically into the role that I have now, based on what I wanted to do in a client-facing role that was, working with financial markets every day and getting to meet unique people and transitioning from service to the country to service of clients in the private bank. And that was something that was really important to me, working on a team in the Army, and then working on a great team at JP Morgan. And so, that was key to what I really wanted to do, the teamwork aspect of it. And a lot of places talk about teamwork, but here at JP Morgan, we do it every day, and it's shown through many times in my experience, the power of it when it comes to helping other people. And it was the same way from the military. That's how we focused every day, was on teamwork. And I think that's the ultimate proof of strength in a model is working together.
When we come back, we're going to talk some more about what Owen Waits is doing for the military. You're listening to the Spotlight on the Veteran Crowd Network.
Honor, duty, service. At the Veteran Crowd Network, we're focused on our next mission, bringing veterans, veteran-operated businesses, and veteran service organizations together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. That's why we are launching the Veteran Crowd Rewards Program, exclusively for our individual and corporate members. Now you can save on travel, restaurants, goods, and services from brands you trust online and at over 900,000 locations nationwide. Find out more today at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. If you are a veteran-operated business, or a VSO, consider the connections, the network, the benefits, the engagement, and success of working with other veterans again. The Veteran Crowd Network, you paid a lot of dues to join this club.
Welcome back. So, Owen, you're doing a lot of stuff within JP Morgan that's veteran facing. Let's talk about a couple of the things. You told me you're the co-lead for the Veteran Resource Group in the Southeast. Tell everybody what that is and what your role is.
Yeah, so it's a business resource group that's part of our national firm, and global firm of JP Morgan. And it's called Voices of Employees That Served. So VETS is the acronym. And it's specifically designed for not only veterans, people who served, but also allies, people that support vets. And we do a variety of different things in our local community. We have an Atlanta, a Southeast chapter, I should say. So we cover about 6 states across the Southeast, and we have different offices and different lines of business with veterans throughout all of those. And so my goal as a co-lead is to provide events that are fun and supportive for vets. So like, for example, we have an event coming up in May called Carry the Load, which is started by some Navy SEALs actually, that is honoring people who've fallen in battle, and they're doing a walk across America with actually 6 different relays that culminates in Texas. And it's something that started about 10 years ago and has kind of grown every year. So we support that. We do a lot of different work with other nonprofits, both here in Atlanta and around other parts of the Southeast, getting some of JP Morgan's funds to help support those nonprofits, or just finding, volunteers to give back. There's a lot of different organizations we work with, and also just providing, a way for vets to come together and talk about shared experiences and feel like they have support within the firm, and to help, like I talked about before, explain what we did in the military and how that's an asset to the company today. The leadership aspect, the experience that we have, the global perspective, how that can all be a value add for JP Morgan as the employer, and explaining how that translates to people that we work alongside every day.
JP Morgan's a pretty big company internationally. Yeah. Do you have a feel for how many veterans are in the company? Is that a number you guys can even figure out?
So it's interesting you asked that. Since 2011, we've hired over 16,000 veterans. I can tell you that number.
16,000?
Yeah,
that's
since just
incredible.
2011. Yeah, and it's all part of something.
And JP Morgan must be a veteran-ready business. I think there's a difference between veteran-ready and veteran-friendly, because I think veteran-friendly is a marketing term. But you guys are really veteran-ready.
Yeah, and we have different programs that are specifically focused on hiring veterans. We have a military pathways program for people coming straight out of the military to the firm. We hire vets like me out of the MBA program. And overall, we actually started something called the Veterans Job Mission back in 2011, which started with some modest goals of hiring 100,000 vets from companies across America. And today, just crossing over the 10-year mark on that, we have 300 plus companies that are members of the Veterans Job Mission. And collectively, we've hired 800,000 veterans. So well above the initial numbers. And I think the new goal now is 1 million veterans hired in the next few years, and trying to add companies to that list every day.
Is there a way to, is there a link or a way that we can share on our show notes for people to get in touch with the Veterans Job Mission too?
Yeah, sure. I can share that with you, and we can put that in the notes.
All right, we'll do that. So, all right, let's move on to another thing you're doing. Tell me about the 4 Block Foundation.
Yeah, so 4 Block is a national 501c3 nonprofit, and it's a really interesting concept. It's named after kind of the coin warfare, where there's the 3 block war, where you might be nation building on one block, in full scale combat on the next block, and doing some sort of combination on the 3rd block. And the founder of it, Mike Abrams, named the 4th block of that battle, if you will, is coming home back to the States post-deployment, post-time in the military. And so 4 Block's mission is to help veterans in transition get to that next role or get to that next place after the military. And so I volunteer as a career coach for our Atlanta chapter here, which is run by Roger Rowley, and they do a fall semester and a spring semester, and they have great programming to teach veterans everything that you could need to land on 2 feet when you enter the civilian workforce. So looking at LinkedIn profiles and how to give your elevator pitch and resume building, and just all of those types of skills that are essential to have that the military may or may not give you on your way out the door. And so I think it's a great mission, and it's something that I love to do because, like I said, people helped me on my way out of the military onto the next thing. And so I like to do that now as a way to give back and help out.
You never can have enough mentors. Did you have some mentors that helped you in particular that you can point to?
Yeah, I did. That initial mentor that kind of told me about West Point, and then different mentors throughout my military career, and then transitioning especially, it was when I found mentorship to be extremely valuable. And I got paired up with a man called American Corporate Partners, which is another nonprofit that works with vets, and they help put you in connection with somebody who works in corporate America as kind of a guiding light of, hey, we've been through this before, and here's things that you need to focus on, and here's access to my network of people to talk to. And that's been great. And then finding fellow vets within JP Morgan has been another great resource. We have a good contingent of them here in Atlanta and across the private bank. And so I've tied in with a lot of them, and they've been great mentors to me as well.
Now, one last thing, and I think our friends at the Naval Academy would say this is an oxymoron, but you're part of the West Point Society in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
That's the alumni group?
Yeah, exactly. So graduates from all different class years that are here in the Atlanta area just got selected to the Board of Governors for the West Point Society. And we just had our Founders Day dinner last weekend, which was a great event. Finally able to get back in person and celebrate the founding of West Point, which is an annual tradition going back to 1802. And it was a really nice evening.
What day is Founders Day for West Point, is it?
March 16th.
March 16th, okay.
Yep, so yeah.
Big dinner in Atlanta. You got a pretty big alumni contingent in the greater Atlanta area?
We do. We have a ton of grads down here. And that evening in particular, we had class of 59 all the way up to 2020 and a lot in between there. So I think it was 150 plus people there. And it was great. I think
people outside of the academies and places like VMI and the Citadel, it's amazing. You have a bond with that guy in the class of 59 because you kind of walked the same path, even though you did it, 50 years later, 51 years later, right? The other thing that I think is really cool, both in Naval Academy and West Point, is, they try to bring the 50th reunion class and tie them into the, to that class as you're coming through that long gray line thing. And we're actually trying to do some of that at VMI. It's imitation's the highest form of flattery. I think it's a great thing what you guys do there. Gosh, we have so much to talk about. How do people get in touch with you, and how would you like for them to get in touch with you?
Either email or I'm on LinkedIn. The only Owen Waits out there, as far as I know. So
we'll put your LinkedIn profile in the show notes and links to 4Block and into your Veterans Resource Group, also the event that's coming up that you guys are sponsoring. Are there other events beyond the one in May, and is there a place where people can go and kind of see what's coming up for the balance of the year?
We do other events. They're usually more internal in terms of working with vets at the firm. Like we'll do a dinner for celebration of service, usually in November around Veterans Day. But we're always looking to integrate with the community and get involved as best we can. So as those things come available, I would definitely make them known to you, and we can share that with the broader group.
Okay. Well, Owen Waits, thank you so much. Class of 2010, West Point, JP Morgan Private Bank. You got a lot going on for veterans within it. I really appreciate it. I'll give you an opportunity to give a shout out. What I'm thinking, you can say, go Army, beat Navy if you want,
Yeah, always root for Army. It was tough when I was a cadet. We lost all 4 years against Navy, but I'll still always say go Army, beat Navy, and also have to say go Heels.
There you go. Okay. Well, you've been listening to the Spotlight on the VeteranCrowd Network. Our guest has been Owen Waits. He's a JP Morgan Private Bank, class 2010 from West Point. Owen, I'm going to give you a shout out in Army Bravo Zulu for being on the program today, folks, and that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to Spotlight by VeteranCrowd. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and uploads, please visit our website at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. We'll see you next time.